Hello and welcome. In this presentation. We'll talk a little bit more about the purpose of instructional video within the context of instructional design process. So first, let's recap what we covered in our previous module about video design and production. So first, we need to understand that not all types of communication are artistic. In fact, it is the deliberate choices and attention to detail that separate artistic language. So the author or the artist carefully and deliberately chooses the words, the symbols, the sounds, and the movements to convey meaning, show emotions, show beauty, or even provoke a thought, right? So let's check here the examples presented on this screen. One is designed for utility. The other is designed for utility as well, but is also made as an art by the specific choices made by the artist or the author. In our case, we are looking to make instructional videos of or using a media to provide or assist instruction. When we look at these, we are doing this to achieve a purpose. Some of our choice will be deliberate, but they will result in effective videos more than conveying an artistic meaning. This is a distinction that you need to pay attention as you're trying to think about like how you design your videos. This is not just for artistic purpose. You really have this instructional purpose that you're trying to convey. And so what we do is like we can use utilitarian components, things that are made for a purpose that we may want to align with some artistic choice for the purpose of keeping our viewers' attention. So in that sense, are we making art or instructional design videos? Well, we could be making both. So that's something that you need to be aware of. You can actually get that your instructional, like you have an instructional video, but you're also trying to bring a little bit of the artistic view or artistic point to grab the attention of your learner or your student. So with every art form, something is lost and something is gained. Even through producing videos, even though like producing videos nowadays is less complicated, less expensive than ever, media still requires production resources, and therefore strategizing the best ways to allocate those resources is essential. So we need all of the art forms to express everything that can be expressed. So we really need to consider what are our resources that are available there. How is it that we're going to be using all the components and areas that we have to make this instructional video be effective. So what is our goal for this module? We always start this course in different positions, so some of you have a lot of experience with instructional design systems and learning theories from previous courses that you have taken in our program of instructional knowledge, while others of you may have just jumped right into this course, and that's perfectly fine. So this part might be a review for some of you, while it may be new to others. So the goal of this section is that I could give you a topic and you would be able to tell me from a research-based perspective one or two strategies that should be effective in teaching that topic. You would also be able to state how video would be effectively used in teaching that topic, providing it was available and cost-effective to produce. The choice to use the video is a choice. It is just like any other media, pictures, audio, simulations, textbook. All of these are forms of media that can be effectively used in many ways to enhance learning. But there are more factors than just it is effective that determine if you use it or not. So for example, there is your audience. Who are they? Does this group respond well to the select media? So for example, if you're designing for young adults or teenagers, you know that a lot of them respond very well to videos compared to maybe other types of generations. So this is something that you need to be aware of. What about your timeline and resources? Often deadlines will prevent you to use video because it takes a long time to produce. And additionally, the amount of funds you have to contract a video or hire appropriate talent will determine if this is a media you can select. Also, do you have the available materials to actually produce the video, such as camera, microphones, and etc. These are all things to be considered before engaging in video design and production. So you also need to understand that instructional video design and production is a small part of a large process called instructional system design, also known as instructional design. There are many definitions of instructional design out there, and most of them refer to it as a systematic process used to develop instruction and training programs. Another way to look at instructional design is as an organized strategy of arranging resources and procedures to facilitate learning. Indeed, instructional systems need to be guided by principles of good educational theory and what we know about learning from research. So a lot of you that comes from an educational background, or some of you that have experience with educational theories from your job or from other experience, that's what you need to think about. Like, what is it that we know from these principles and research that is going to be effective for the particular design? And one of the things that you pay attention, I have provided here a link for multimedia principles from Mayers, and I think like his principles will probably guide you in a very way what are the things that you need to consider as you are designing your videos. Okay. There are many instructional design models available, and they're designed for different purposes. Some of them are for education, others are more for business and training, but it's still, all of them include the core elements, often referred as phases of analysis, design, develop, implementation, and evaluation, also known as EDI model, to ensure congruence among goals, objectives, strategies, and evaluation, as well as the effectiveness of the resulting of instruction. EDI is a generic model for instructional design, so keep in mind that that's what it is. There are many models out there, such as Deacon Carey model. There is Morrison's model. So there are many different models out there, but all of them does have these phases or these stages. They may have different names, but they common have these procedures that you have to go through in order to design instruction. And how does this relate to instructional video design and production? Well, one part of the design phase would be to select and design a video as an instructional material. Then you would go into the development phase, and then you would be producing that particular video in itself. So keep that in mind as you start thinking about like instructional design, video design and production, and where this fit in. It would definitely fit into these two phases right here. So let me just like highlight here. All the other phases are part of the process for you to actually do a good job of designing or actually creating and designing a video that's actually going to be effective for the instructional problem that you have at hand. But keep in mind that's where your instructional design, video design and production would be happening, is like in these two phases. So your goal is to identify the need for instructional video and plan for it. First, you need to identify the learning objective that the video will cover. So what is the learning objective? Like, or what it is, if some of you may not know what learning objectives are. So a learning objective refers to a specific statement of a desired outcome. So what is it that we want the learner to be able to do at the end of that instruction, or where are they able to perform at the end of the instruction? So they are specific steps that a learner would take in order to reach a particular goal. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about like what they are. And if we look at a definition of an objective, it can be defined as an explicit statement of what learners will be able to do at the end of a segment of instruction. There is an art form to writing any specific this specific process, to writing good objectives, and a small statement of so that is a small statement of where you want to go in order to get to that larger goal. So these objectives, when you are writing them in this format, can be really effective and more effective than just like statement of what you are going to do, because they can really help you design and develop where the instruction is going to go, and then that's going to be going in an appropriate way. So we're going with that an objective must state in terms of what it is that the learners will be able to do, and they must guide the instructional process. It will also help designers focus upon the outcomes of instruction and enable them to recognize whether learners have attained those outcomes or not. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about this process of creating video and design. You need to start thinking about, like, how does my video relate to the learning objective? How is this video is going to help the learner to achieve that goal? So keep that in mind. And so this is basically a summary of like the whole process that you have to go through in order to get to the select of the media. So we are gonna just like highlight here, go into this process so you at least can get a sense of how you come from your framework and go to the select of the media, especially like the video. But we're gonna be covering more about this in our next module. So I want you at least to have a better understanding how you go from here's this greater framework to now you're going to your instructional design video production. So when we try to put all this together, you sit down and you have an instructional video project that you are working on. But before that, the first thing that you look at, what is the framework that you're going to be using? And you can choose ADDIE as your instructional framework. Then you're going to choose your instructional strategy, and that strategy is going to fit within your framework. Then how are you going to design the instruction to the learners on what needs to be done? So that's something that you need to consider. You be identify your goals, the objectives, determine the domains of those objectives. You know, are they psychomotor, are they intellectual, are affective domains? So like there are different domains that you're trying to attain and pay attention as you're trying to create your learning objectives. You're also going to be considering the conditions of learning to meet the design activities for those objectives and the kind of media that will be needed to complete those objectives. So whether it be video or other media that may be used here, that's something that you're going to be determining based on the domains and the conditions that you have identified. So each one of those sections here that you can see on the screen, you go through each one of them step by step, and then you come all the way with everything being done, and you're actually now ready to produce a module of instruction that includes an instructional video design and product. So that's what you want to get out of this. It's like that you come from this bigger framework here, and then you're funneling until like you're gonna find that video production, video design is something that is needed, and you're gonna come to this end here. So another thing that we want to talk about is like there are 8 types of video design for instruction purpose. Some of them are standalone videos, which are the types of video that can just stand on their own, like a chunk or a piece of content within a lesson, a module, or a training. We have problem-centered videos where the content of these video involves authentic scenario situation in which the audience or the learner can observe an application. We also have prior knowledge. This type of video elicits information that learners know from previous lessons or modules. We also have demonstration, where are designed to demonstrate a concept or process or procedure for the learner. Then you also have practice with feedback, in which you can kind of like use an exemplar or a video to describe key points that students have to pay attention and provide feedback to them. You also have video stories, which are for if you have an expert and that expert is actually providing a story with their expertise. So they're talking about like what is it that they're doing. And documentation, which is you're documenting important events within the life of a school or an organization or an individual. So other things that you may need to consider when you are creating or working on video production is one, you need to strategize your videos to tie directly to the course or the learning program that you're trying to create. So are they aligned to assignments, assessments? So you're really trying to make sure that those videos tie within the content, the activities that are involved within the module or the instruction that you're creating. You also want to advise whoever is creating those videos, or even if it is you yourself, or if you are working with instructional designers, to make sure that, or the talent person like that, they're using conversational language in the production. So we can also encourage them to use more humor or draw more to past experience, just to make it a more connection with the audience that is reviewing those videos. Also, adding audio and visual elements to the video can be a supplement to the content. So you really wanted to provide that visual aspect, so not only just having static content there. And the last but not least thing is actually the quality of the video. So you really want to produce high quality videos, so make sure that you have the appropriate equipment and sounding, lighting, everything that you may need to in order to create something that is good quality. Another thing too is like to keep in mind the time. So you don't want to have long videos out there. One of the things that we know from cognitive theories and special information process is that we do have a short time span in our minds. So I would say that 15 or less, is probably a good way of chunking up information from your video. So for example, you can even chunk it up in five segments videos that can all be in a 15 module. So you really want to make sure that you're chunking those videos so that you can still keep the attention of the learner engaged there. So keep that in mind as well. The last thing here on this video is for you to consider you're gonna have an assignment for this week, and basically what you're going to be doing is that you're going to take an instructional or training video, and you're going to be evaluating that production, the video production, in terms of video continuity, editing, introduction, purpose, audio, lighting, camera techniques, graphics, and timing. And there are a couple of steps that you can go on the assignment and see what you need to do. You can be working individually or in pairs to locate this instructional video, and I have provided a couple of questions there that you need to be using to help your critique, but also use the rubrics from the reading assignments that you have for this week. So use those rubrics to actually analyze and critique the videos that you are using for this particular assignment. Okay, and I think that's it. Let me know if you have any other questions. Thank you so much for reviewing this video.